Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Scaling Your CAS Practice, Leveraging Remote Staff for Growth. First and foremost, we hope that you and your loved ones are happy, healthy, and staying safe. For today's webinar, Wolters, Kluwer, Ray Barlow, Director of Outsource Operations, and Robin Mangum, Client Accounting Service Manager, will discuss how and more partners are turning to outsourcing to facilitate growth for their CAS practice. Before I hand it over to our presenters, I have a few housekeeping items to cover. Wolters Kluwer CCH is registered with NASPA as a sponsor of continuing professional education on the National Registry of CPE Sponsors. As such, we are excited to offer 1 CPE credit for today's webinar. A total of 4 polls will be conducted throughout the presentation, and you'll need to participate in 3 of them in order to receive CPE certificate. If you experience any technical difficulties in trying to submit your poll response, please make sure you let us know in the questions pane. This way we can record your answer manually and get you your CPE certificate. Your certificate will be sent to the email you used to register for the webinar within 5 business days after the session. If you do not receive your certificate within 5 business days, please email us at marketing@xcmsolutions.com. Please note CPE is not available when viewing the on-demand version of this webinar. You will also have the opportunity to submit questions to today's presenter by typing them into the questions pane of the control panel. We'll be answering questions at the end of the session. If we don't get to your question during today's webinar, we'll be sure to follow up afterwards. You will also have the opportunity to complete a survey about the webinar, our content, learning objectives, and more at the end of the presentation. This survey will also be sent to you in a follow-up email. We appreciate you taking the time to participate in that survey so we can continue to deliver meaningful content in future presentations. Without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Ray Barlow and Robin Mangum.
Thanks, Alyssa, and welcome everyone to our webinar today. I'm Ray Barlow. I am the Director of Outsource Services here at WK. My primary responsibility is to work with all of our outsourcing folks to facilitate the efforts and the work that needs to be done to help our customers with that kind of work. So I've been here. I started out with XCM about 4 years ago, and as part of the acquisition came over here to WK. I'm joined today by Robin Mangum. Robin, would you take a minute to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Robin Mangum. I'm the Client Accounting Services Manager for Wolters Kluwer. I'm a CPA with a background in industry, college instruction, and public accounting. I've enjoyed supervising and managing client accounting service departments for the last portion of my career. It's an exciting time to be involved in client accounting services. It's something I sincerely enjoy, and I hope to help you understand more about how remote staffing can help you with your CAS services today.
Thank you, Robin. As we move forward, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the topics for today's webinar. We're going to start talking a little bit about the trends in the industry that are really driving a lot of what's taking place related to outsourcing and remote staffing. We'll talk about where client accounting services is today and why it's become so popular and something that you can't pick up a periodical or see something on the internet that doesn't talk about CAS services. We'll talk about what Expetex Accounting Services does, and we'll look at why firms are turning to us for help in the remote staffing area, and then Robin will take you through the process, our remote staffing process, and she'll also take you through the implementation process that we go through. And if we have time at the end of this session, we'd be happy to answer any questions. Just feel free to enter those questions into the chat. Before we go any further, I did mention that I came over as part of the acquisition of XCM. Hard to believe it's been almost a year now, but back in September, XCM was acquired by Wolters Kluwer Tax and Accounting, and with that came all of the XCM product line, a lot of workflow solutions for tax, audit, and CAS, some of our scheduling applications, along with our Expetex outsourcing business, which has been around for quite some time. We began tax outsourcing in 2002. XCM actually was built based on the tax outsourcing business. We needed an application to help us move the work from the firms that we did business with to our remote staff who was preparing the returns. So we built what we called back then the Expetex client manager. And if you're good with acronyms, you realize today that's XCM. So firms came to us and said, it's great that you can help us provide statuses and help us know where our returns are when we outsource them, but we would really like to also know where our returns are when we insource them to our existing tax department. So we built XCM as a workflow tool for firms to help manage their tax processes. It soon expanded into audit and also into CAS. In 2005, leveraging the XCM platform, we built our CAS remote staffing services outsourcing, and we've been doing that for 15 plus years now. And we have a team in India just for CAS of well over 100 people that provide tax and, well, mostly accounting services work on behalf of accounting firms and their clients. We only deal with accounting firms. We don't go direct to small business. So we are in complete support of the CPA accounting profession, and we don't compete with you folks. Here's a quick look at some of the services that we provide for accounting firms. So on the left, you can see our tax services. Obviously, all the different types of tax preparation work that we do. We pretty much work with every major tax software supplier, vendor, but we do all different types of tax returns. And we've been doing this for quite a while. We had our biggest tax season ever this past tax season. We did more returns than we've ever done since the inception of the program. On the right side, you'll see our client accounting services menu. We do basic bookkeeping, daily bookkeeping, bank and credit card reconciliations, AP, AR. We do journal entries and invoice creation. I'll take you through a couple of other things that we do a little later on in the presentation. What's in between that you can't see is we're also beginning to offer, and it's still early in the game, but we're offering more of a, for entity returns, more of a year-end cleanup, getting the trial balance cleaned up, getting it ready to be exported into the tax return. So that's something that we're working on and piloting right now to really offer the full experience, if you will, of between accounting and tax. So that's kind of where we are with the services that we offer. I mentioned we were going to talk about trends. I think it's hard to really move forward without really looking at what's driving a lot of the challenges that each and every one of us are facing in the workplace today. And it doesn't just affect accounting firms. It doesn't just affect, small business, medium business. It affects all businesses today. I believe the last I looked, there were 9 million job openings in the U.S. Market today. That is a ton of job openings. That hurts production. It hurts our ability to develop. It hurts a number of different things when we can't fill all these positions. And a lot of it is a result of the of situations with COVID-19. I label this the ebb and flow of COVID-19, which it seems like it is an ebb and flow. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. Who knows where this is going to end or if it's going to end soon. But one thing I do know, that going back to the way things used to be, I don't hear people talking about that as much anymore. I think a lot of folks are looking at the hybrid model, which is a combination of work from home, work from the office. Some folks go in to the office, some folks work remotely. Maybe they go in for a couple of days and work remote for a couple of days. But that is clearly the model that it, at least in the near future, appears to be here to stay. Who knows? It could be here to stay for quite a long time. We know that firms have accelerated their technology decisions, especially around cloud applications. In order to work from home, you truly do need cloud applications. I mean, you can use some of the tools that are out there to virtualize your desktop applications, but seamless and easy to use cloud applications make the world a lot simpler, even if you're traveling or anything like that. So we do see that firms have accelerated their technology decisions in the way of cloud, in the way of workflow, in the way of project management, being able to communicate remotely and in so many different ways. But what we've also noticed, and this is kind of suddenly hit upon us was the competition for staff is even more challenging now than ever before. We're seeing turnover rates in the CPA market, or hearing of turnover rates anywhere from 11% to 54%. That's significant. That's a result of the competition for staff becoming US based. People are working from home. They're getting offers from all over the country. And oftentimes these offers are significantly higher than what they're making now. And it's forcing other situations to occur where businesses are having to really make sure they keep their vital staff, and keeping them however way they can. So this competition for staff has accelerated even more. And then we talk about AI and bots. Look, we know that this is on the horizon. It's coming. It ain't here yet. Certain things can be built and leveraged with RPA, but artificial intelligence is just not there yet. There's still a ton of human interaction. There's humans verifying the information. There's humans fixing the information. If you can get 30, 40% accuracy out of AI today, you'd be doing really well. So we know that AI is not quite the answer, but RPA has become something that is very valuable, where you can take a particular process and automate it and build a technology where bots can actually make that work. We see that as probably way ahead of AI at this point anyways. The multi-generational workforce is shifting. I'll talk a little bit about that. I was pretty surprised at some of the information that I saw regarding millennials, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then right now, the clients really do need insight and foresight. I mean, when you talk about compliance work, that's hindsight. You already saw that, you know what that looks like. But your customers and your clients are looking for more insight as to what's happening there in their business, and more foresight as to what's going to happen in their business. And that really makes this time really an important time to begin to really transform your practice into more of it, for more CAS work, for more advisory work, for more work supporting clients in a way that makes them really reliant on what you can deliver. But it's really hard to do all that when you are faced with just getting the work done every day. You've got deadlines. I get emails and calls from people who are saying, I can't hire people. I need more help from you guys. Can you get me another full-time equivalent? We're just not able to recruit. There's all kinds of compression that's going on. But when I look at all these 8 different challenges that firms face today, the one that's the biggest and just doesn't seem to go away is staffing shortages. So it's really hard to transform your business when you're spending most of your time in your business just keeping it running. So where is client accounting services today? I think, when we look at the way that the things have changed, certainly cloud accounting has expanded and changed the whole world of client accounting. There are no more geographic limitations. Firms are able to offer their services across 50 states. They can support their clients across 50 states. They can definitely leverage this to be more specific and start specialization in a certain area, like maybe a vertical like dentistry or franchise operations or medical, where a lot of the similarities exist and you get to be an expert in those areas. We see firms who have just specialized completely in a particular niche and have grown their practice significantly just by doing that. And you couldn't do that in the old days when you had to get in your car, drive to your client's office, get their QuickBooks file, bring it back, look at it, make the adjustments, journal entries, and then get the report back out to them. Today you can do it at your fingertips with cloud accounting. We also see profitable revenue coming out of CAS practices. It may not be the biggest or the most or your biggest line of business right now. Obviously, tax and insurance is probably still the 2 biggest, but boy, is it profitable revenue coming out, based on new pricing models, ways to price. We've seen some significant opportunity there. And BPO is still around. AP, AR is a big one where firms are outsourcing and becoming more of a business process outsourcer. And really that's what I think that's what a lot of clients are looking for. And the last thing, I think clients are really looking for advice. They want a identification, measurement, all of the things that help interpreting accounting information. They want to be able to make decisions. They want to make good decisions, and they want to effectively manage their operations today and into the future. And that's what CAS can do for them. I pulled this quote from Chris Stansbury, CFO, Arrow Electronics, and his point was, firms are not, or I should say, clients are not looking for only for advice through the rear view mirror, which is the compliance work that you folks are so good at. They're looking for a little bit more. They want to look through the windshield. They want to look at what's coming next, what kind of risks, what kind of opportunities that they might see, and what kind of danger might be ahead, the dark clouds that are coming. They want that kind of advice as they look forward into this new world that we're in today. So there's a lot of terminology around client accounting services. There's virtual CFO, there's client accounting advisory services, there's outsourced accounting. For today's discussion, we're going to lump all of those other terminology, all those other names under just simply client accounting services. So when I say client accounting services, I mean all of those things. But the most important thing to even begin to offer all of those other things is to be able to do the transactional work. So you have the information, you have the general ledger system at your fingertips, so you can provide the advice to those clients. So when you start thinking about where we were, where it was, it really started out as after the fact payroll, transaction, compliance processing. Then it moved into those outsourced CFO. You can see the dollar signs grow as you provide more interaction, more higher level advice to clients. And then finally, what I truly believe is a new client accounting services where you're offering the whole package. You're offering transactions, you're doing the daily bookkeeping, you're doing the daily things that firms need to keep the books running. You're offering compliance. Maybe you're doing payroll, quarterly payroll compliance. Maybe you're doing tax preparation work. All of those things that fall into the compliance area. You're also doing performance. You're helping them, their business perform. You're in their business, helping them do better every day. And the fourth one is advisory work. You still have to be that advisor, that strategic advisor that helps them make the right decisions to move their business forward. And then finally, consulting, which is a higher level. Maybe it's some succession planning, some different things that they need to be aware of as they move forward. Beyond just the day-to-day stuff that they're working with today. So really, as you start moving from transactions to advisory or more, you see the value goes up to what for the firm and for the client. So let's talk a bit about Expa-Tax services first, but let's hit our first poll. I'd like a little bit more information from you folks. So Alyssa?
Great, thank you. The first polling question is, what experience have you had with offshore outsourcing of tax and/or client accounting services? Currently leveraging remote staff for tax accounting work. Tried in the past, but currently not using remote staff. Never tried, but interested in learning more. We presently do not have a need for outsourced services. We'll give everyone about 15 to 30 more seconds to complete the first polling question. And as a reminder, you'll need to complete 3 out of 4 in order to receive your CPE certificates. Just about 15 more seconds. Give everyone just about 5 more seconds to complete the first polling question. Okay, and we're going to close the poll and share the results. And I'll turn it back over to you, Ray.
All right, thanks, Alyssa. So interesting results. I think 36%, the highest number, either have never tried but interested in trying or learning more, and then 36% are currently leveraging remote staffing. I will tell you that's the highest number I've ever seen for firms that are currently leveraging remote staffing or accounting for tax or accounting services, which is a sign of the times. I think a lot of folks are beginning to recognize that they can't find the staff and they're looking for alternatives. And really that's why we're here. And for those who have tried in the past, currently not using, probably wondering if there's a better way to do this, and maybe interested in learning again where things have gone since the last time you folks tried it. So we only have about 18% who presently don't feel they have a need for it right now. That's okay. Maybe I can convince them otherwise, who knows. So thanks again for the information. This is good information as we move forward. So let me talk first about XEM and our Expatax now and our specialization in CAS. I think over the years, since 2005, we've been offering the CAS outsourcing or CAS remote staffing services. But even beyond that, our XEM platform has been used by more than 50% of our existing customers. So we've spent a lot of time building process, helping firms really build better processes. We have several Lean Six Sigma certified consultants. We are definitely business process experts. We are experienced in a number of different general ledger applications, whether it's Intact, Sage Intacct, QBO, Xero, and a lot of the ecosystem around that, like a product like Bill.com. So we have people of experience in that area. Our team uses a number of different applications to support our customers. So we've got some background in this area. XEM has over 45,000 users, and I mentioned more than half of them use XEM in their CAS department. So when we look at XEM as part of our service delivery for our outsourcing business, it's a vital piece of that. The ability for our team to work within XEM, to have work moved back and forth, to have tasks moved over to us and returned to you folks. XEM truly is the platform of choice for our outsourcing business. And I mentioned we have over 100 employees in our India operation doing this kind of work. And so we've been doing this for quite a while. We feel pretty good about our experience in this area, and hopefully we can talk a little bit more about how that can help you. So what is remote staffing? I think when we look at remote staffing, it's pretty simple. I mean, you probably have remote staff today. They don't physically work in your office. They are working either from home, or they're working in a different location, maybe a different office, and even they could be working offshore like our team. In our team, our staff are assigned to the firm, and they work exclusively for that firm. So when we assign you a full-time equivalent, an FTE, that person works strictly for your firm. We train them, we give them the background they need to be successful, we hire them, we recruit, we do all of that work. And if you want to train them on certain things that you want them to do that's different than what we have trained them on, that's fine too. We have a firm that uses us for audit work, and they went through the whole process of training our team on what they wanted to do. It worked out great. They've just expanded that role for us. So we're adding more work for the team in that area, and we have training sessions that the firm conducts and our team attends. So it's always, again, these folks are dedicated to your firm. Scaling up or scaling down. We have a lot of firms that may be experiencing some seasonal increases. So they may be in the program already and involved in one or two or however many FTEs with us, but maybe during 2 months of the season they hit a peak, and they really need to add 1 or 2 full-time equivalents just for those 2 months. Well, if you're in the program with us, and we can easily scale up to add those 2 full-time people for you, and then when you're done with them, we can scale it back so that you don't have to worry about continuing to pay them. It's much like cable TV, if you think of it this way. If you're a subscriber already to cable TV and you want to buy a movie, you can easily go on the screen and do a pay on-demand movie and watch it. Same thing here. If you're a subscriber to our existing Expatax remote staffing services, you want to add 1 or 2, or we had one firm that added 20 full-time equivalents for a period of 2 months for a litigation support project. We ramped them up for 2 months and then we ramped them down right after that. So only paid for what they needed. So that's one of the bigger advantages. And we do a lot of different things in kind of a project type role for firms. So we also tech enable our team as much as possible. We prefer to use cloud applications if we can. We'll work with the same applications your firm does, so we're set up to access the information. So we want to be in a tech-enabled environment, and again, the XCM platform really drives our productivity and our accuracy and our turnaround. And I'll talk a little bit more about how that happens with XCM a little later. But really, more than 50% of the work we do today leverages the technology that's in place already. So we really do want to rely more on technology, and so that's a big part of what we do. And we don't really rely on email to communicate. You can use email if you want, but we exchange notes and points and questions through the XCM platform, and that allows that to be much more streamlined, much more customer specific. I know how difficult it is, especially if you're looking for an email that came in 2 days ago and it's like, where do I go to find this? You try searching for it, you can't find it. It's frustrating. Well, you don't have to worry about that. We're going to communicate right through the XCM platform. All the information is there. It's there specific to the task or the client that you're working on. So why do firms come to us? Well, we talked a lot about it, but we'll ask you. Let me turn this over to Alyssa for the next polling question.
Great, thank you, Ray. The next polling question is, what would you say is the #1 challenge managing your firm today? Attracting new clients, cybersecurity and data privacy, identifying opportunities for practice improvement and cost, raising profitability, or recruiting and retaining talent? Just about 15 more seconds to complete the second polling question. There's a total of 4 polling questions within today's webinar, and you'll need to complete 3 of them in order to receive your CPE. Just about 15 more seconds. All right, we'll close the poll and share the results.
Yeah.
I think you have a clear winner here.
This was a blowout. So 55% of you folks feel that recruiting and retaining talent is the #1 challenge, followed by number 2 was 17% with identifying opportunities, and the others were in the area of 7 and 10%. I think it's such a interesting time in this industry, and in all the industries, where, you know what, we came out of a time where people were losing their jobs, and a lot of accounting firms retained their people as much as possible, did the right thing in my opinion. And now here we are, you know, a year later, and we can't find people. You can't get people to work, and it's just a real difficult. I mentioned earlier, it's a strain on the organizations trying to get the work done. A lot of tough decisions have to be made, and you know, realistically, we don't know that this is going to change much in the near future. It just looks like the staffing challenges are going to continue. And when we look back at some of the prior years, it's been a consistent result. Each year, this is from the AFOT survey. This is 2020, so I don't think the 21 has come out yet. Maybe it has, but if you look back on 18, 19, and 20, each year recruiting and retention was the biggest challenge. Last year, the gap opened between the recruiting and retention and number 2, which is raising profitability. The gap was extended to almost 10% difference, and it was always somewhat close, maybe 2 to 3% difference, but now that expanded last year, and I would imagine this year's survey, when it comes out, that is going to expand even more, and recruiting and retention is going to continue to be an even bigger problem as we move forward. And there could be a lot of reasons for that. One of them is, I mentioned this in the opening, that the workforce is changing. there are things happening out there that the baby boomer generation is starting to retire. The millennials are starting to really become the major force in the workplace, not only for your staff people, but also for your clients. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but believe it or not, and this was shocking to me, but the oldest millennial will turn 40 this year. So these are the folks that were born between 1981 and 1997. So the oldest millennials will be turning 40 this year. They will soon make up the majority of the workforce. I think that's pretty clear. And when you think about that, they're also going to represent the majority of business owners as their buying power continues to exceed 150 billion. They also change jobs frequently, and one of the reasons for that is they are, and we'll talk about it in the next slide, but they may not be getting what they need in the current job that they're in, and so a lot of resumes from millennials look pretty interesting from jumping from job to job. And then of course we talked about turnover. It's in general it's running very high post-tax season. But if you think about millennials for a second, yeah, they can be somewhat maligned at times, but look at their priorities. They're really not any different than any other generation, in my opinion. They want to earn high salaries. Who doesn't? They want to buy their own home. They want to start a family. They want to travel the world. I mean, a lot of generations, including baby boomers, probably would have had similar priorities. Maybe in the baby boomer generation, job security would have been a little bit higher. That was just the way of the world back then. But you don't see that on this report, on this survey. But I think they're very much like any other generation. They just have a lot of different things that they prefer in the market, in the workplace, that makes them happy. I mean, 90%, 90+% want to feel like they're learning and they have a career growth. One of the things we always talk about is if you can alleviate the grunt work or the daily transactional work from them and give them a job that has them working with clients more, working more towards the top of their license, that they'll be much more happier in their role. And that's easy to do if you can unload some of that transactional work. 75% want work-life balance. I would have thought that would have been number one, but in this particular case, it's number two, but it's important. We hear it all the time, and they've actually changed it. It's no longer work-life balance. It's now life-work balance. And they want flexibility. They really, truly want to work from home. They want to have the flexibility to work from home. So this pandemic has really opened up a lot of eyes in terms of that capability. And it ought to be interesting to see how this pans out over the next couple of years. The rest of the things, we all want probably, and I think that's a fair assumption. The other thing that they really want that's not on here is they want all their information at their fingertips. This is the digital generation. They didn't grow up with printing out documents and reading them. They grew up with iPhones and smartphones, and everything was right at their fingertips. That's what they're used to. That's what they want. So when they're working in the marketplace or working for you, if you're not going to provide them with the latest and greatest technology so that they can have all the information at their fingertips, that oftentimes results in them leaving. So these are all of the a lot of the reasons for the turnover, a lot of the reasons for the staffing shortages, and it really is driving the marketplace today. And I'm really not surprised. I have at least one millennial at home, almost two, but I know the way they think. So this is very typical. So why do firms come to us? I think this is pretty simple. Onboarding, training, challenges, finding people, staff turnover. Maybe there's no time for client accounting work or advisory work because they're too busy doing the compliance work. Maybe they can't grow their practice because they don't have the resources to grow it. They want to take on more clients, but they can't support them. And so that's another reason. And then obviously we provide a lower cost model. I don't have the ROI calculator in this presentation. Be happy to talk to anybody about, but we're talking saving significant money with a outsourced solution like this. So clearly it's a lower cost model. So back to Alyssa for the next poll.
Great, thank you. The next polling question is, what is your biggest concern about utilizing remote staffing services? Employee staff perception, client perception, security of client data, quality of work, or loss of control? We'll give everyone just about 30 more seconds. Again, this is the third of 4 polling questions, and you'll need to complete 3 of the 4 in order to receive your CPE certificate. Just about 10 more seconds. All right, we'll close the poll and share the results. Over to you, Ray.
Thanks. All right, another clear winner, quality of work. We'll talk about each one of these, but quality is important to us. I think we spend more time on making sure that what we send back to a CPA firm or an accounting firm is the highest quality possible. But I'll talk a little bit about each one of these. I think that was clearly winner, quality of work. Number 2, employee staff perception. Kind of interesting. A lot of firms or a lot of folks are concerned that if they outsource that they're going to lose their job. Well, that isn't going to happen. That's not the problem you're trying to solve today here. The problem you're trying to solve is staff shortages. So that shouldn't really, I mean, we can work with firms on how to communicate that properly, but it's not really, shouldn't be an issue. And then we'll talk about security. And the one thing I'll talk about probably is client perception. I think it's a little different world when you're talking about accounting work versus tax work, but for the most part, clients are okay with you providing these kinds of, so what they really want, they want your advice, they want the performance, they want you to provide those advisory types of services. They want to make sure that they're getting the quality from the firm and not just the transactional work. So we can talk a little bit about each one of these, but we kind of label these as myths around outsourcing, and we talked about a lot of them: employee perception, client perception, security. I added partner perception. There's quality, and then loss of control. I think as you look at employee, just like I mentioned, benefits, work-life balance, accelerate and grow their careers. We have a staffing shortage. Today, it shouldn't be as big a problem as it might have been in the past. Client perception, you're their advisor, you're their business advisor, and a lot of firms are also outsourcing. Most of the big 4, if not all of them, have their own outsourcing offices somewhere offshore. If you talk to your firm, if you talk to your client and you tell them this is what you're doing, most of the time they're going to be fine with that. And if they're not, don't do it. Just move on. Security, none of the data, and we'll talk about it later too, but none of the data leaves the United States. All the information you send to us is housed in our data center in the Boston area. And we have built a lot of security into that. And each year we have our annual SOC 2 audit, we have 2 SOC 2 audits, one for XEM workflow and one for the Expatax outsourcing business. So you shouldn't be concerned about our security. We've not had any issues in the past, and hopefully we won't have any issues moving forward. Partner perception, I love this one because I hear it all the time. My clients will never go for this. Well, I think you just got to ask them. You'd be surprised. And in the outsourcing world, and now in the client accounting outsourcing world, we really don't see that kind of a pushback from clients like you might see in other areas, but not certainly in this area. Quality, we do a lot of training. We spend a lot of time. Our teams are built to produce high quality. We review everything that goes out before it goes out. We do have the supervisor review before it's sent back. We mentioned before, we'll do firm specific training on your procedures, and we'll keep doing that until we get it right. So that's a big part of what we're trying to accomplish. And then loss of control, with XCM workflow, you always have access to where everything is. You know the status of the work, you know who's working on it, you know when it's going to be delivered, and you will always have that higher visibility of the statuses of all the work that you've sent to us. So we really think that all of these myths or situations around outsource can be resolved. We talked about our SOC 2 certifications. Mentioned again, we do both Expatax and XCM workflow. We've been doing this for 5 consecutive years, and so we feel pretty good about our SOC 2. And then just a quick kind of, when we talk about how our team is viewed by our customers, I'll point to just a couple. All the work is getting done on time and it's getting done well. That's important. That speaks to quality and turnaround time. We have come a long way in a short time. You have already begun earning our trust. We would like to proceed with adding another FTE immediately. So oftentimes people start off with one. Maybe they have a goal to test out one and see if they can get further down the road with 2 or 3. That's fine. We're okay with that as well. We want to make sure we're doing the job well before we move too fast. So these are just a couple of comments from our customers. I'm gonna turn it over to Robin now. She's going to take you through the staffing, our remote staffing process and how it works. Robin?
Thanks, Ray. So how does remote staffing work? Next slide, please. As Ray has already addressed, the technology landscape has changed dramatically over the years, where you can sit in your office and service clients in many different locations. And at Expatax, we use the XCM workflow as a tech-enabled platform that allows us to define and design and then execute transaction processes that flow easily from your firm to our team and back. And we've been refining those processes since 2002. And given that amount of time and transactions, we have been able to design a best practice playbook that we can use to get firms up and running with our team. And speaking of our team, we recruit skilled accounting professionals, and they really become an extension of your staff. So the same person works on your project day in and day out, just as if you'd hired an additional staff person. So this is not a pool approach where someone is just pulled in depending on availability. This is a full-time equivalent preparer that really consistently works on your work, and this provides the continuity and enables them to really get to know your client work. We have a dedicated training team, and each preparer completes a rigorous training curriculum. That preparer will have anywhere from 1 to 3 years of experience when they come to us. Every preparer has their work reviewed by a supervisor who will have 5 to 7 years of experience. And these supervisors are promoted from within, so they really do know our processes. The supervisors review the work to make sure the instructions are understood and completed before the work goes back to your firm. Next slide. And competency, I'm sure, is important to you, so I want to discuss the qualifications of our team. But before doing that, let's talk about the team structure. As you can see from this slide, we have a simple yet effective team structure. And this model is probably much like the model you would use at your firm. Each preparer's work is reviewed by a supervisor, and then we have a team manager that ensures the processes are running smoothly and effectively. Our supervisors are the ones who do most of the communicating back and forth with the firm. So if there are points to be discussed or feedback to be given, typically you're going to be talking with a supervisor. And over the team, there's a department manager that oversees the operations and productivity. In addition, we have someone dedicated to training, and our training coordinator oversees performance and quality assurance for our staff. And having watched our team in action, I can assure you that they go to great lengths to be prepared and thorough in their work. Next slide. So we do have a highly skilled team, and I'm sure competency is very important to you. So I want to discuss the qualifications of our team. Our preparers are screened by their academic scores before their applications are even accepted. We perform aptitude testing, multiple interviews, complete with full background checks, a Wolters Kluwer background check before we hire someone for the team. Once hired, we take the preparer through classroom, hands-on, case simulation trainings to give them an opportunity to really work through what they're learning. Then we continue with certifications at each training level, and we continue with refresher training each year. And just like in your office, there's the skill that just comes along with doing the work on a routine basis. And our team learns your client work over time, and this increases the efficiency of the process. Next slide. So I imagine any of you who have not seen this process, it might be difficult to imagine how it works practically. So I hope this slide helps explain it better. So your firm signs a new CAS client. You obtain access to their general ledger system, for example, like their QuickBooks Online. You would set up the bank and credit card feeds to download and gain access to any source documents you might need. Same as if you were working with a remote employee for your firm. Once you have access to your source documents, you would use the XCM platform to move a task to our Expatax team. And we get your task all set up in the implementation process, which I'll cover soon. Our team will see the task populate to them, and the supervisor assigns the work to your preparer in Expatax, and the work flows and follows our prep and review cycle, and then it's sent back to you. At this point, there may be some open questions, clarifications that are needed to complete the task, and those questions are asked and answered, and then the task is marked complete, and then your firm takes it from there to review and get the promised deliverables to your client. And as you can see, we use a number of popular accounting applications, QuickBooks Online, Xero, Sage, Intact, and Bill.com, just to name a few. So I hope this has helped give you a picture of how we structure outsourcing. The XCM platform really is a terrific tool that allows the movement of the work to become streamlined and routine very quickly. Now, Ray, I'll hand it back to you so you can tell them more about the XCM platform.
Thanks, Robin. We leverage the XCM platform in a way that really we talk about 6 key areas that are really table stakes for any platform in the CAS world. You absolutely need standardization. You want to be able to build processes that are repeatable, that you can embed into your technology so that anyone can use it. And that's one of the biggest things that XCM delivers for us. You tell us what your process is. Maybe we work with you and we build a couple of processes out, and then we embed them into the system, and our team can just leverage that process day in and day out. And it makes it a whole lot easier for us to get the work done. We also use what we consider to be dynamic checklists, so that one particular task, it could be a monthly close, you could have multiple people working on that task. And once everyone is complete with their part of that job, the person in charge of the task knows it's time to move forward and do the monthly close, for example. Communication, we talked about. Knowledge and instructions are there to help, ask questions, answer questions, deliver, post review points, whatever it might be. We don't need email to communicate here. We talk about predictability. I think recurring tasks are table stakes in CAS. You got to be able to do that. When we're setting up recurring tasks, we don't want to miss anything. We want to make sure we know exactly what needs to be done every day. And then if someone's out for whatever reason and you need to reassign their tasks, you can look it all up, find out who's available, assign those tasks to someone else and still get them done. But the big thing is we always talk about is you always know who has the task, what the task is, where it is in the process, when it's due, and why it isn't complete yet. So those 5 elements is what really drives the visibility into the CAS program. I'm sorry, the XCM program. Here's an example of a monthly close that we built standardized processes for. You can see all the different steps in the monthly close. We worked with the firm to build this so that we can perform the work every day. And when it comes to the instruction points, you can see here that we've got a bunch of different points. We've got some knowledge and instructions that our team will use to make sure they're doing the work right in this client-specific area. So for this particular client, they may have some nuances in what we do for them. We post it here. When our team is doing the work, they know what it is and they're able to perform that work. These are all critical pieces of getting the job done. We mentioned recurring tasks. Again, it's all about reducing that administrative work, not missing anything. You may have weekly tasks, monthly or quarterly tasks. We can automatically create them and they pop up right at the time that those tasks are due or about a week before they're due. And this is something that we think is just critical for CAS outsourcing work and CAS in general. So you can see that here. The type of work we do. On the left side, this is all of the accounting work. We do weekly, monthly bookkeeping, nothing surprising. On a little bit higher level, we do AP and AR, and then custom we'll do some things, whether it's entering journal entries, balance sheet reconciliation. We've done payroll and sales tax support. These are things that we do. And then on the right, there's some things that are a little bit different. I mentioned earlier about special projects. We do a lot of special projects that are maybe there only for a couple of months or a shorter period of time. So all of these things are what we can do, we've done in the past, and we can do in the future. We leverage a slew of different cloud accounting packages. All of these are things that we've worked with in the past. Whether it's accounting GL packages, BPO packages, full service, our team can pretty much work with any of them and can be trained on something that might be different. So we work with the same stuff that you guys work with, and it's pretty easy for us to ramp up. And all of this really creates time for you to work more closely with your customers, your clients, to give them the kind of support that they need. We take this off your table and you can get more done as a result. And when I think about that, I think about The 3 Circles, which is a book I read called Unleash Your Leader. It talks about how to win in business, and it talks about the way you spend your time every day in business. Do you spend your time in your business all the time, or do you spend some of your time on your business, or even outside your business, where you're looking at things that might help your business in the future? When I think about in your business, that's really, you're in it every day. You're helping to generate the revenue, and that's a part of what your job is. When I think of on your business, you're working to make your business better, looking for other ways to drive revenue, looking for ways to increase incremental revenue or maybe reduce some costs here and there. And then outside, you're going to seminars that teach you things that you don't currently have, as whether it's management skills or financial skills, whatever it might be. Those are the things. The magic ratio, according to the book, is 30% of your time in your business, 50% of your time on your business, and 20% outside your business. That's the magic ratio, but I know that's pretty hard to do when you don't have the staff to allow you to spend only 30% of your time in your business. So I'm going to turn this over to our last section here, and Robin's going to talk about implementation.
Thanks. So how do we get your firm set up for outsourcing? Next slide. During implementation, our IT team assists in setting up the remote access we need to complete the work with your firm, often with your IT team, much like you would for your own remote staff if you had an employee who was working from home. We get more granular then with your firm to determine the processes you need to service your particular clients, and then we set those tasks up in our XCM platform so they're ready to go for you. And just a word about the XCM task. Using our XCM platform gives your firm visibility into the task at all times, as Ray's mentioned before. And by looking into that XCM platform and finding any task in question that you might want to look into, you'll see who has the task, what stage it is in, what is the due date, if there are any points or open questions regarding the task. And that really gives you control over your client work. So the work is never separated from you, and you can always follow what is happening. And then after we set up the task for your firm, We set up training with your Expatax remote team so you can show them the task and processes you're sending to them. And this is a chance for you to walk through the process with your Expatax team. We also help to train your firm staff on XCM solutions and how to communicate with the Expatax team so that you can get the most out of your outsourcing service. Next slide, please. And once we walk through those implementation steps, it's time to go live and get to work. So to offer the best quality possible, we set up recurring calls with your firm, and we can talk through tasks and get feedback. Are we understanding the instructions? Here we ask for any feedback on the task so we can catch any changes that we might need to make on our end or get clarification. And you have the ability during those times to give more training or further explain a project or a task to your Expatax team. And I find that once firms are comfortable with the assigned task and how the process works, they begin to look for new tasks to send to their team. And as you continue to work together, your Expatax team will continually make improvement notes and update their processes based on the feedback that is given to them by your firm. And at this point, you really see how the Expatax staff becomes an extension of your team. And as always, as the Client Accounting Services Manager, I am here for support. I'm available to assist and be in the meetings and be here for questions or concerns that you might have through the whole process and beyond. So I'm always here. And now, Lisa, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Robin. This is the final polling question. It's, would you like to learn more about Expatax CAS outsourcing? And as a reminder, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the questions pane, or you can email marketing@xcmsolutions.com after the webinar. If you would like a copy of today's presentation, you can also email marketing@xcmsolutions.com as well. We'd be happy to provide that to you. And we'll give you just about 15 to 20 more seconds to complete this polling question. And it looks like there was a question just around cost, and Ray, if you'd just like to kind of give a general overview on cost, I believe if they'd like more detail, they can have a rep reach out.
Yeah, so we bill by the month, and we typically bill $2,300 per month per FTE. There is an implementation cost up front. As Robin took you through the implementation, it's the most critical part of the beginning of our relationship to make sure everything is working right. So typically, you know, we're gonna be ramping up our services over the first couple of months. We probably wouldn't charge anything until we go live, and then it'd be $2,300 a month from that point forward. There's no contract, long-term contracts that you need to sign. As a matter of fact, we offer this with a 30-day notice to whether if you would like to add a person or reduce or stop. So pretty. I mean, we want to work with people, and we want to do the best we can. If there's any reason you want to stop, we're fine with that as well.
Great, thank you. I want to be mindful of time. We're almost at the top of the hour, so that should conclude today's webinar. Ray and Robin, I'll turn it back over to you for any closing thoughts.
Well, again, thank you, everybody. I hope that things get better in terms of recruiting and retention. I hope things get better with the pandemic. If you have any questions for me, feel free to reach out. Be happy to talk to anyone. Robin?
Well, thank you for your time. And I too am here. Feel free to reach out if you have further questions. I'm happy to answer those for you.
Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you later.